You remind me, talking about being young and that sort of thing, strapping things down.
Easy.
Uh-oh.
Easy.
It's a family show. It's a family show. Hey, now you get the way I project myself. Hey, welcome back to a very special episode of 1980s Now, coming to you live. RetroCon 2024.
Here we are. I love it.
Yeah, and now I remember. I remember what I said earlier when we thought we were recording. We're always live.
Yes.
Just happen
Yes.
to be live here now.
We're,
And also,
we're extra live now.
yes.
Extra live.
We're live, and people are seeing us be live to prove that we're live, not just
Yes.
remotely. So
Yeah.
And we can see them looking at us and listening to us, and it's freaking me out a little bit, actually.
And unlike on the internet,
Yeah.
you know whether or not we have pants on.
That's true, but I will affirm that John does for fear that anyone
do.
might feel uncomfortable.
I do have pants. Just for the record, pants.
And normally it doesn't matter whether we have pants on because we don't talk about that. Except let's talk about parachute pants maybe because we normally chat about 1980s pop culture and not only what happened long ago, but how it's continuing to influence media and us. Hey,
Yes.
because I'm a product of that media.
I feel very influenced today.
John pays his mortgage off of it. That sort of thing. But more than that. But today, on today's special episode, we're going to be talking about what we call a true crime. It's not a crime necessarily, although maybe.
Oh.
Because
It is true,
Yes.
It's true.
and it is mysterious.
Yes, and actually, if they found the culprit who did the thing we're going to talk about, there's probably
There's a
some
crime.
kind of
There's some,
fines,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
penalties.
It's certainly
Yes.
negligence
Yes,
of some
negligence.
sort.
Yeah. Because we're going to be talking about the mystery of the Garfield phone, and not only just something interesting happened with it recently and has been happening, but the phone itself. How do we get these wacky phones? Did you either guys have a phone, Garfield
I
phone?
had a boring old phone. Nothing novelty about it.
Not a Garfield, but yeah. I've seen them. I know them.
Yeah.
Orange, big bug eyes.
Yeah.
You pull the spine out. That's the handset.
Oh my!
You do.
Finish him.
And then his eyes open like, my spine.
John's doing a Mortal Kombat to pick up his friends calling looking for him. All right, so normally on our show, every now and then we do a true crime podcast. And what we found, look, when we first started doing a podcast several years ago, we found out the most popular format is true crime podcast. So we thought, all right, we got to just knock that off somehow, put true crime in some of the episode names and get some people tricked into listening to us.
And it worked great.
Yes.
Yeah, we're up to 3 downloads now per episode. 2 of those are true crime fans. Come on in, don't be scared. It'll be fantastic, I promise. Hey, you in the black shirt, don't leave.
He's not listening to you.
That's the way to keep them.
This is just like at home when I try to get somebody to do something. All right, anyway, today we're going to do a true crime. And normally when I do these episodes, I adopt a silly voice. Because I learned there was elements to true crime that make it successful. One, there's a guy talking. It's not like this that much anymore. Now it's anybody does it. They have drunk true crime and all kinds of stuff. But they have somebody, they do a very serious voice. That's one element. They take whatever they're saying way too seriously. The second thing is music. They usually have music in the background when they do the one segment, and then they break in a really dramatic way. We're not going to have any of the dramatic part, but we're going to have the voice and the music. And then the third thing is the music switches during these breaks, right? Okay.
But then we've added a fourth thing,
Yeah.
which is we interrupt you when we have questions
Yeah.
because that's how we do it.
Quite honestly, they didn't have that in any other true crimes I had listened to, but that's fine.
No, that's
Yeah.
it's our spin.
But to your point, if you got any questions or comments, you guys let me know, okay?
We will. Oh,
All right, so
yeah.
I'm going
We'll
to
stop you.
I'm going to play some music in the background and we get started here. Let's see. I got my
here it
special true.
wait to hear
We're
what
going to
it
be
is.
talking about this here. So I got special music for that. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. You got to tell me if it's too loud and you can't hear me. And here's the voice I'm going to do.
Atmospheric.
So no one's shocked when I hear it. And I say, where did Will go? I was watching the stage and he's gone.
This
Let's
is
see.
different music. We
Yes.
have not heard
I
this.
know it's new. It's new. Special Garfield music.
The Garfield phone was advertised in the 1980s as a, quote, real phone for real fun. They feature a keypad, have a classic electric ring, and the cartoon cat's eyelids slide half open when the user picks up the handset. All right, who had a Garfield phone? Anybody here have a Garfield phone? You know what we're talking about, though, right? You recognize it. Oh, John had it.
I had a Garfield phone.
He's the guy.
I wish I'd had one.
No.
It would be worth a few $100s on eBay right now because I thought about buying one and wasn't in the budget.
Now I know why you picked this music. It matches Sleepy Garfield.
Yes.
Eyes.
It sounds like lasagna.
All right, back to where we were. But in a world once dominated by the dull Princess Phone, how did the novelty communication device come to be? And how did it come to stand for environmental disaster? This is the mystery of the Garfield phone. That was a cat hissing.
It's a hissing cat in the music.
All right, no questions so far.
We could have done that for you if you'd asked.
A hissing cat?
Yeah. Just cue us.
Sit anywhere. All the seats cost the same amount of money. We'll get you out. We'll charge you on the way out. It was around 1984, fueled by tax cuts, interest adjustments, and other things too boring for even this podcast. The United States continued to climb out of the recession that plagued the decade. Stock prices were on the rise, and so too was consumer spending. But it was America's obsession with a particular cartoon cat that could not be contained. Literally. But one of the most popular objects of American consumerism appeared on a distant shore in a most unnatural way. You guys are probably familiar with some portion of this story, and that's okay.
Is it okay? Are you sure?
It is okay.
It's
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
All right.
'Cause I'm gonna answer things. I'm gonna answer questions you never thought to raise because you didn't care. You didn't care about the answers.
How many questions do I have about a Garfield phone? No, I don't.
None so far, yeah.
They're all ones I wouldn't raise.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this then. Get it out of the way. Rene Morvan was 19 years old, living on the coast of Brittany, France. Except for the occasional storm, it was an otherwise quiet farming community. On a fateful day in 1984, a particularly nasty weather phenomenon lured Morvan to the idyllic shores of Brittany. There, he noticed something unusual. Sure, the violent waters were known to deposit all matter of sea life on the coast. You know, sort of like the Jersey Shore with hypodermic needles in the 1980s. Right? Just a bunch of crap would wind up on them.
Or the Florida shore with all the cocaine that washes ashore.
Right.
Same thing.
That's true. And the sharks eat it. That's also true. We talked about that on the
There's
show.
a movie in there somewhere.
Yeah. Come on in. It's never too late.
You haven't missed the good part yet.
Yes. There won't be any good parts, so you can't possibly be late.
No missing.
But the orange debris on the French beach, which was strewn here and there, was too brightly colored to be natural.
Not a Portuguese man of war.
No, not at all. What's cats from the Jersey Shore? It always freaked me out when you see horseshoe crabs down there.
I loved finding the horseshoe crabs.
Did?
Yes.
Can I hear you at all?
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure you're looking into them.
I have to not look at you.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll look straight ahead.
I always thought they freaked me out. You flip them over. It does seem like a prehistoric thing, right? A trilobite or one of those where somebody...
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Or from the Dark Crystal.
It looks like a face hugger, like just put with a shell.
Yes.
It's
like,
alien. It's
Especially
like alien.
when you flip it over. The
Yes,
underneath.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's all-
horrifying. Yeah.
Right.
What were the creatures from the Dark Crystal?
Skeksis?
No.
Those are the big guys.
Not the Skeksis, the things that they unleashed to destroy Argra's,
Was it Garfield?
Her lab.
Because, no. I feel like we're wandering too far.
We are wandering
They
too far.
unleashed orange cats.
To wander afield. Upon inspection, Morvan learned that the unusual refuse was chunks of plastic. The first pieces of a larger puzzle. And as each successive wave delivered another batch, Morvan followed a trail, being revealed before him. Finally, venturing down the rocky cliffside, Morvan discovered the source of the waste. What? he would keep it a secret for 35 years.
He didn't talk. That says Garfield? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it
That was
out.
the first thought you had?
He didn't tell anybody for 35 years. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're going to say for purposes of the story.
Okay.
It makes it
All
more
right.
interesting.
Yes, it does.
He actually wrote a paper about it and published it in the Garfield Journal.
Is that accredited?
No. Peer reviewed.
Oh, okay.
John reviews it, not you. And Odie.
Oh.
Founded in 1926. This is where we start talking about something where people are like, wasn't this supposed to be about Garfield? Founded in 1926, the legendary toy manufacturer Tyco had weathered the Great Depression by aiding the military during World War II. The good side, too, also. I should probably clarify. I realize now. And by the 1970s, Tyco had become the leading manufacturer of HO scale trains, or as I call them, HO. At that time, however, Tyco's earnings began to go off the rails. To place the company back on track, a new management team sought licensing agreements with brands that would expand the toy company's offerings and bottom line. And while they would later be known for a certain ticklish puppet, it was one particular license that birthed...
We're doing our impression of the ticklish
We're
puppet.
doing our very bad impressions of Elmo.
This might be a better... There, that's it.
There we
That's
go.
it.
Now we got it.
You're not great with impressions,
That's the
but...
one. Much more accurate.
Okay, so aside from Elmo or Cat. It was one particular license that birthed a Tyco product that would survive long after the brand was defunct. It's amazing. Like, so on our show, we talk about pop culture and the endurance of pop culture. But there's a lot of things that happen in 1980s in particular. But there's a lot of things that happened in the 1980s that endured that are not necessarily good because of lack of regulation or other things we're learning. No.
This is a lot of numbers and a lot of years and I want to get to the Garfield.
Okay, all right, there you go. All right, I wasn't sure what you were
Do you
talking
like
about.
toys with lead paint? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
They're delicious.
It may very well seem like I consumed a lot of it. I know at this point in the story because
Just enough.
this is where we're at now. We're in the 20s, and now, born in 1945. What? Jim Davis wanted to be a farmer like his
Okay.
father.
We're getting
Here we
there.
go.
we
Here we
go.
go.
Okay.
But his asthma had other plans for him. Often forced to remain indoors, Davis discovered his love of drawing. But it wasn't until 1978 when he finally created a hit. It's probably a lot of his parents just shouting at him, right? And they're like,
Do something with your life. Stop drawing stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
your hands. His dad's in the background plowing the field and he's doodling.
I want to draw cats.
You're such a disappointment, son.
Couldn't go outside.
Dad?
He had asthma. He couldn't farm.
It's true. I don't know. In 1945, how'd they feel about asthma? I don't know.
Oh,
Was it understood? Was it,
good point.
What is this?
look, okay. Is that right?
I think so, yeah. I don't know.
Wait, a fictional, you're basing it on a fictional character?
I just see Old Man Potter. 4F. He's just stamping stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, wait, you guys are talking about fictional characters. Does anybody have any knowledge? I mean, no.
I was also not drafted in the 40s, but it wasn't
This is
because
like,
of asthma.
and we're going to behave like it's the 1980s, and someone's got to know.
No.
I mean, that's another thing, right? In the 80s, if one of your friends didn't know, and the bus to the library was, ran infrequently, you just wouldn't know. Or someone would tell you the wrong thing, and then you'd spread that around because you thought it was true.
And you enjoyed not knowing. It was fun. It was fun to not know for a little while.
Yeah.
It's okay to not know.
Hmm?
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking, you know what? It was joyful to not know about this Garfield story. And then I wandered into this panel.
We've
Guy
ruined
talking
that
about-
for you now.
Yeah. Questions I didn't want answered.
All of them.
I want to hear more.
What were we talking about?
Garfield?
Oh, yeah.
Jim Davis?
Asthma.
Asthma?
Jim Davis had
Loud
asthma.
fields.
Jim Davis had asthma.
Yep.
As far as we know, he really had it, and he wasn't faking it to get out of work.
Or the military.
Dad, no, I can't. Too much corn. Gotta draw.
Ow, my lungs.
Anyway, you're right. So 1978, he creates a hit. And the hit he creates is Garfield, his cynical comic tabby with a penchant for lasagna and a hatred for Mondays. He was attacked by a Monday, is what it was when he was young.
Did you write this?
No.
Did you write? Okay.
And I'm reading it for the first time.
Attacked by a Monday?
Yeah, that's why Garfield hated Mondays. I'm not a fan. Anyway, so this Garfield becomes successful, and it gets syndicated in 41 papers. And this success bred a litter of other opportunities in terrible puns.
That was pawsome.
And in 1981, just a few years after licensing fees had made George Lucas extremely wealthy, Davis created Paws, Inc.
Nice.
I wrote the wrong thing down here. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
Paws, Inc., a company to manage the Garfield brand. And soon, many Garfield-related products flooded the market.
And
But
my
only-
house.
What's that?
And my house.
Cat's basement, yeah. You think RetroCon's got a lot of vintage toys. You should visit Cat's basement. All right, let me start again so I can do my terrible joke.
Oh, we don't want to
Try
miss
to keep
that.
to yourself, yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. Good.
There's a few jokes in this. Now it's not going to seem so funny. It might not have seemed funny before either, but
Let's see if we can spot them. Ready?
you'll see.
Go.
And soon, many Garfield-related products flooded the market. But only one of those also flooded the coastline of Brittany, France.
Was that one?
That was
one of
good.
them?
Yes.
Good.
We're not playing Spot the Joke.
So we know that Kat got a lot of Garfield merch. Will, did you also partake in Garfield merch?
No, now it's weird because this is true. Now, so I got these little samples of Garfield and this music and stuff. When I was pulling those, I was watching Garfield cartoons from the 80s in particular online. And it freaks me out. And it reminded me, I couldn't really watch it when I was a kid. There's something about the animation style and the characters that have these very large circular eyes. That's just, I don't know, my brain does not like
Really?
that. No.
Oh, huh.
So you got something against like Cookie Monster?
They're kind of Muppet-esque though, almost, aren't they? They're
yeah.
little lids and.
I guess.
Do Muppets bother you? I love.
No,
them.
I love the Muppets. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something odd. But so I didn't but the odd thing is I remember at home practicing drawing him over and over again. Like
Really?
the circles and the eyes.
I feel like the most ubiquitous Garfield merch was the one with the suction cup you put in the back window.
Yes, right.
How many of those did you see on the road?
Oh yeah.
The one he's like,
Yeah. That or Baby on Board, yeah.
yeah.
I did not have one of those.
No?
No, but I had met multiple members of my family, my mom and my aunt. They were big fans of Garfield merchandise. So we had pencil toppers and stickers and candles. We had Garfield candles.
He melts down.
Yeah.
Did it have a scent to it, like litter, cat litter, or
Oh no.
Like lasagna. It smells like lasagna.
lasagna?
We
Certainly.
didn't burn them. They
Pasta.
were decorative.
Oh,
I
I
have no
see.
idea. No,
So why get a candle? Just get a statue.
because they were pointless.
My sister did have the Garfield phone, the one with the eyelids. I took the eyelids out, so it was just constantly staring.
God.
It was just always
It's looking at me.
staring.
Well, you traumatized yourself. There's the problem
No,
with
I
the
no.
eyes.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, what? Wait, no, wait. You took on purpose. You took the eyelids off.
Yeah, because
What'd you do with them?
I ate them. What do I do with them? I don't know. That's
okay.
not the main part of the story, John.
If you had a good purpose for the eyelids, I could see it. Like, I needed to use them
purpose
to make a
was to-
puppet or something. But if you just took them off to just torture the phone,
No, torture my sister.
Right.
Oh,
the torture was not for the phone.
I
It
see.
was for his
She's
sister.
slightly younger than me. That's what you
I
do with younger
gotcha.
siblings.
Okay. It's all coming together now.
Okay, now it's going to get really interesting here. Listen to this first sentence and just feel like very titillated. In 1982, listen how many words just get you really excited.
Oh, no. No, build it up a little more before you
Count
say
them
it.
off. In 1982,
That's a winner already.
in 1980, don't leave, it gets better. What are you doing? Someone lock the doors. Gentleman with the backpack on. Look, at least take a card and listen to the show. We're much better when we're on the show, not live. All right. This is also what we see when we look at the the graph
When
that's
we're live and we're watching the viewer count. Tick,
Yes.
tick,
on
tick.
Facebook Live, yeah.
Go
or, the
no.
or the retention every week.
What did Kat say?
You know, I might have frightened her because I said this is going to be a very exciting sentence, and she said, "Hey, wait a minute, no, another guy." Oh.
He just sidled right
Well, get
around
to the
it.
sentence before you
I don't-
lose
okay,
more.
here you go. In 1982, a consent decree agreed to by AT&T and the U.S. government ended the telephone monopoly that the company held for decades. Right?
This is just riveting.
This is right out of Aaron Sorkin. But just 5 years earlier, a court ruling allowed competing manufacturers to offer designer phones that would add a unique style to consumers' homes. Suddenly, the phone was no longer a standardized leased portal into AT&T's network. Alexander Graham Bell's invention now came in an assortment of novel forms that included Coca-Cola bottles, peekaboo lucite globes, and, by 1981, one popular, albeit cantankerous, orange tabby cat. So maybe you didn't have the Garfield phone. Did you have an interesting phone of some kind? Anybody? You all had boring phone? You did. What did you have? Mickey Mouse. Oh, that
with
came
the
out in
hand, right? He holds he holds the phone, right?
first in 1967. Did you have a phone?
Oh,
I love that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
super
yeah.
popular in the 90s as well.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, we didn't. My sister had that one phone that I took the eyelids off of, but
Mm-hmm.
the otherwise, no. It didn't even occur to me at the time that there was a period of time where the only phones you could get were the ones that Bell or Western Bell or whatever it was called made, because you had to lease them from the company.
You didn't even own it, right?
No.
It was their equipment. Just like the line was theirs, the phone was theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it Christmas or a birthday one year, I was gifted my own phone line in the house. I got my own phone number. This is before I needed it for BBSs, but I needed it just to talk to my friends.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
right away, I got the folding Pac-Man phone. Right, he closes shut, and you open him up, and then it's like he's eating your head. You hold him up like this, and he's got like that, and you can talk. Yeah.
Was that the beginning of your John loves to collect Pac-Man.
Oh, that wasn't the beginning. That was well into it.
Oh, okay. They knew, your parents knew what to get you.
That was right.
It was an inevitability.
That was part of the gift with the phone line was the Pac-Man phone.
I did notice, though, I think the leased phones that Western Bell made the quality was really good. These other phones, they're kind of terrible. Speakers and the...
Yeah, especially early on when it was mass marketing. Well, the AT&T was like equipment. It was gear.
Yep.
And they're like, and we can make them too. And they were whatever they could crank out. But
Yeah.
even the Pac-Man phone, as cool as it looked, it was pretty tinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like in the mid to late 70s where they had these Bell phone shops. That's all they sold was phones. And a lot of them were unique and different. And all. Is there another podcast going on out here?
Yep.
Sorry, what
You
was that?
subscribe to Sports Illustrated, you get the football phone. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. There we
you
go.
did?
The football phone. Yeah.
That is a fascinating story, more fascinating than this one. But a short one.
And once a year, the swimsuit edition.
So they had this great thing with Sports Illustrated where they would offer you the blooper reels, the tapes that you couldn't see otherwise. It wasn't like today where you go on the internet and see sports errors and all these kinds of things. And that was waning, and so the marketing guy was like, "Well, what can we do next?" And he happened to be walking in Times Square because their office was Midtown, and he saw what was actually a frog phone in the window of a shop there, but he thought it was a football. I don't know how you confuse those two.
frog.
You thought the frog was a football?
He thought the frog was a football.
Yeah. And so he went back to the office and thought, well, we should offer football phones. So secretly, he met with a guy who was a friend of his, a model maker, and said, can you make me something that looks like a football that could be a phone? And he did, but it didn't work. But what they did is they took a picture of it and they sent it out to about 30,000 people that they thought might be Sports Illustrated customers. And 80% of them wanted the phone,
Now we got to make it work.
but they didn't have one. Yeah, so they had a backup plan. If they couldn't make it work, they were going to give them 2 years of a subscription instead of one.
Or frogs.
Oh, yeah, right. They just pass off the frogs. Painted brown because it was a green frog. But then the next challenge was they were having these made in China, and so they had to tweak it for the shape and all that. But one of the challenges was, according to this article I read, was that the Chinese factory was working with didn't know what football was, and so they weren't sure how one should look. I think they had photos back
How
then.
difficult?
Though, right?
I mean, can you mail a football overseas? That's not
All
so
right,
difficult.
yeah, see, okay, this story's better. That was a dumb story.
How hard can
All right,
that
where
be?
were we? All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Not long after Rene Morvan first discovered bits of orange plastic. Do you remember him, or have we talked so much? He's the guy who found the stuff on the shore in France
And
right.
Brittany?
in the 1980s.
Yes. Okay.
Was that in this episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Not long after he first discovered bits of orange plastic washing up on the beach of quaint Brittany, France, others also took notice. It was impossible not to.
It's not a secret anymore.
Right. Shortly after the storm, well, the secret was, if you remember, he followed the debris.
Oh, right. I
He
thought he
found
was the only
something,
one
and what
visiting
he
the beach.
No, what he found was the secret. Shortly after the storm that first delivered the unusual flotsam to the shore in 1984, more debris followed. This time, the pieces were complete enough to recognize the culprit. Hundreds of early 1980s Garfield phones. And while cleanup efforts immediately followed, their task was Sisyphean.
Nice.
Great words.
For as soon as the novelty devices were cleared from the beaches, the next tide would deposit another batch. The smug expression of the faux feline mocking its would-be captors.
I wonder how many were eyelids ripped off from their siblings' phones.
I haven't seen that study, no. That stat.
Just a bucket of eyelids.
I can't believe you did that.
There's a lot of things in my life that I regret. I feel bad about.
That's not one of them, but there are
Yeah,
several.
there's some. It is true. It is true. I do feel a little bad about that. I also, speaking of phones, what I also did, and this is really terrible, is I tapped her phone.
No, you didn't.
So I figured out a way, because I was a super nerd. In the basement where the phone lines came in, I experimented with a speaker or another phone and figured out, well, which wires I could touch to the box in the basement
So
so I could hear the phone line.
you put a second line in so that you could listen.
Yeah, basically. And I hooked it up. Eventually, I had it hooked up to a mini jack 3.5, and I plugged it into this cassette recorder I had. The little one with the handle. I was a horrible, horrible brother.
Were her conversations that alluring that you had to?
No.
Did they not have radio in your town or other things that you could listen to?
No. No, they didn't have a lot of things in the 80s, like pictures of footballs. Or footballs. No, I was a horrible brother. All right. What are you going to do? I don't know. I feel bad about it all.
It's okay. It's okay.
Cleanup efforts continued for decades. And while it was long suspected that an errant shipping container was the source, none could be found. Led by, I'll do my best here. Got some French words. Led by Claire Simonin Lemure, president of the environmental group Viltansu. Volunteers renewed cleaning efforts in 2018. Out of a concern for the environment, Simonin Lemure had been searching for the origin of the Garfield phone for years, believing the source of the cargo would be under the sea. The environmentalists enlisted the help of divers and submarines. How deep would they have thought it would have to be?
Submarines?
And James Cameron was probably there. Find your phone. Oh, look, the Titanic. But none spotted anything below the waters, and fewer believed the container could be there. Paws Inc., the company that currently licenses Garfield, couldn't verify the decades-old tale of the wayward shipping boat. But a fateful meeting on the beach in 2019 changed everything.
So do you have any estimate of just like how much of this Garfield debris was,
Yeah.
you say? I mean, are we talking dozens, hundreds, thousands
Thousands of
pieces of thousands of phones?
yeah.
And it just keeps showing up.
Like you find one, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And you find two, and you're like, okay. Find a dozen. You're like, where these damn phones come from on the beach? Who's leaving phones on the beach?
And I have this, I don't have that stat specifically, but I have this I thought was interesting. Around 148 million shipping containers are sent by sea each year. Between 2008 and 2016, shipping companies lost over 1,500 containers on average every year.
Just fall off in the waves, right? It's gone.
Wow. Nobody strap those things on somehow?
No, Cat. We don't strap those on.
We
assume smooth sailing. Of course we strap them on.
You remind me, talking about being young and that sort of thing, strapping things down. My dad.
Easy. Easy.
It's a family show. It's a family show.
So I was listening to my sister's phone.
My dad. No. My dad was a very handy fellow. And we went to...
Again,
come on,
easy.
Just stop.
Easy.
Don't follow him.
Easy.
But we went to Home Depot, and he didn't like to ask for help. He was always coming up with ideas of how can I just do this myself instead of having to talk to a stranger. Mm-hmm. So we put a piece of sheetrock or two on his car, and we tied them down. Of course, right? So that's what you would do. Yeah. And we started driving. And my dad's
Yeah, they won't catch any air at all, I'm sure.
Okay, so John is smarter now in his early 50s than my dad was, I don't know, in his 30s or whenever that was.
It's like a chitty bang bang situation going on.
Had the car lifted off the ground, that would have been better. Because what instead happened is once we hit the highway, it just exploded into a mist.
Like all the sheetrock.
The twine just cut through it. Boom, exploded. And all you saw out there, in the back was just like a cloud of like spy hunter smoke. To do what?
They don't. We had to buy that. Twine he had.
They
were finding sheetrock on the beach for decades after.
So I don't know, Kat, how they kept these containers down, but my dad may have had.
Your dad was involved somehow.
Okay.
Are you looking for Garfield? The middle-aged man asked Simonine Lemure as she continued her cleanup efforts on the Brittany coastline. When Simonine Lemure affirmed the man's inquiry, the man continued, "Come with me. I've got some eyelids you might be interested in. All you can eat." Now, in his mid-50s, Rene Morvan, same guy from 1984, explained how 35 years earlier, at 19 years of age, he had observed the orange phones dotting the beach after a storm. As he detailed his descent down the rocky cliffs into a sea cave, he led Simonine Lemure to the site of his discovery. Tucked, this is his secret that he kept.
Oh no, we're ready.
Tucked deep within the recesses of the earth, he found Garfield himself. He's real and alive and giant, 300 feet tall. No.
Because they make the best lasagna in France.
Yes.
The beach.
That's right, he couldn't get back out of the cave. He's just door dashing lasagna. Tucked deep within the recesses of the earth, he assured her he had found a metal shipping container stuffed with the feline phones.
Wow.
But when they reached the supposed location of the find, another problem became obvious. The cave had vanished. Yeah.
Cave had vanished. All right.
It's like a Scooby-Doo kind of thing.
So was a shipping container. It was there. So semi-buried on the beach, I guess, right? It's like accessible, but mostly under.
Yeah, so if you see the pictures or video of it, it looks like a cliff, a cliff
Yeah.
or like a mountain, a rocky surface, and a cave.
Yep.
And then you go inside that cave there, and it goes down lower.
Right. So as tides come in and out, it's like they're going in, bringing some phones out with it,
Yeah,
and then depositing them on the beach.
I know, right?
For 35 years.
Yeah, they're still continuing. What?
Did you go there? Did you verify this? It's still coming out. Oh yeah.
No, I didn't. No, this story is based on news. Like I researched
Okay.
and
Yep.
fake news. As fate would have it, for most of the year, the cave is rendered inaccessible by the tide. Fortunately, just a few weeks after Morvan came forward, the entrance to the underwater cavern revealed itself. As volunteers scaled the cliffs to the entrance of the cave, they stumbled upon bits of Garfield scattered across the rocks. Their hope was to find the what?
Picturing a crime scene.
Yes, it's everywhere.
There's chalk outlines on the beach.
Here's another one. More tape.
Oh God! I found the other eyelid.
They have those little tents with the numbers on them.
Right.
for
Yep.
evidence.
Yep.
How many of those do we have? We're gonna need more. And then those litter the beach. The shipping container. We get a shipping container full of police tape and those little evidence tents, and it crashes.
Yep. It's like the chocolate and the peanut butter coming together. It's like
Yes.
these two just made for each other.
Perfect. What? Oh, yes, right. Yeah, Santa will find the toys.
Yes.
The hope of the investigators was to find the lost shipping container still brimming with phones, because they're worth a lot. And they thought, hey, we're going to make a payday here.
Even waterlogged, perhaps.
In that way, come on in, you can sit down. The next panel will start. It'll be better in a few minutes. In that way, they could stop more debris from polluting their ocean. But their hopes, unlike the plastic phones, which still remained largely intact, were soon dashed. But what they found was the remainder of the shipping container, and it was empty.
Somebody beat him to it.
Someone stole the Garfield phones. from
Right.
the-
They know their value.
Those seats are more expensive. I need to see your tickets. Oh, okay, very good. All right, this is it. This is the end here.
I only
Wild-
just noticed the meowing and the lugubrious music.
You
I could
just
hear
noticed the
I
meowing?
yeah.
She kept looking at me like, is that in my head? Is he subliminally putting meows in my head? There it is again. I don't hear it. I don't.
While environmentalists have resolved the mystery of the Garfield phones, they are not feeling celebratory. With the bulk of the phones already gone, quote, the sea, said Simonin Lemur, has done its job for 30 years. We arrived after the battle. For many, the face of the lasagna-loving cat brings a nostalgic joy fueled by its surging popularity in the 1980s. For others, it is the comic poster child for pollution and long-lasting environmental damage wrought by plastics. Per Simonin Lemur, there is a, quote, feeling of desolation and sadness, end quote. Or, as Garfield would put it, Mondays. There you go. Was anybody familiar with that story before we talked about it today? The Garfield phones appearing in France a few years ago? Yeah? Very good.
Yeah. It evokes for me, you're familiar with Garfield minus Garfield? That ring a bell for you?
No, I don't.
It's a great project where someone takes Garfield strips and removes Garfield and anything he says or thinks. Well, he only thinks, right? And it looks like John is unhinged. It's spectacular.
I got to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, now we're minus Garfield. So
Right. Very good.
ran out
Yes. No more plastic on the beaches now.
as me. has me feline a bit sad now.
Oh no. Yeah. Okay.
That's what that was worth.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, unfortunately, this continued to be a problem for a long time. And look, I'm not going to bum anybody out. We're at RetroCon.
That's
Right. Okay. Hey, that's our show. That is the whole show. Nothing but the show.
And that show was brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters, Rick Parker and Karen Fleer.
Oh, hang on a second. I got to switch this. Okay, there we go. Shoot. There we go. There we go. All right.
The show's just like that. He goes, oh, wrong page. Hold on,
Yeah,
wrong
I
page.
edit that stuff out, though. It's better to record after.
And thank you, especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters, John Henderson,
No doubt.
Brandon Greer, Steve McLeod, Marcus Taylor, Tony Gray, Nick Guillory, and Matt Marino.
Yeah, hey, thanks, guys. Those are the patrons that keep our show going every week because, believe it or not, it costs money to produce this. I know, right? It was funny. It seems kind of funny, right? Anyway, hey, thanks for joining us, those folks that came for our show, not the people that are here early to get good seats for the next one. Our show is 1980s now. You can find it in any podcast platform and YouTube and all that sort of thing. Hey, enjoy the rest of the con.
Thank you.